Usually there is music before I stand up to preach. Never before have I followed John Philip Sousa. I want to make one thing clear before I pray, and that is that even though I am the Bishop of Arkansas, I am not responsible for today's weather. I want to go on to say that your chaplain, J.J. Whitney, is not responsible for today's weather. As I read the wonderful and colorful history of Hendrix, I have decided it's all those communities that wanted this school but did not get it. They are responsible for this weather. Would you please pray with me? Lord God, we give you thanks for vision. A vision of those long ago who understood the power and the necessity of higher education. We're grateful for those in our Methodist heritage who worked hard to educate all kinds of people in all kinds of ways. We're thankful for those who had the power of vision and the persistence and the hard work to enable Hendrix to become this school at this place, making such a tremendous difference in the lives of individuals, this community, and ultimately our world. As we celebrate the past, we give you thanks for the present and have great hope for the future of this school, those who are students and teach and lead. Not just that this will be a school that survives in tumultuous times, but that it will indeed continue to thrive. May we as a church and a school, as people of faith and human beings, may we know that we need education that is whole for the whole person, that we need faith that is real for real people, and that in all things it is the depth of our soul that defines the essence of who we are. We give you thanks. We give you praise. Amen.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Bill Tsutsui. I'm president of Hendrix College. I'm so thrilled to have you all with us today. First of all, I would like to thank the Hendrix College Wind Ensemble and its director, Gretchen Renshaw, for that very rousing start to the afternoon. And then I'm going to invite you to depart, so you do not have to sit here through the program. So please. Well, thank you all for joining us today as we celebrate 125 years in Conway. Hendrix, as I think everyone here is aware, was founded in 1876 in Altus. According to the history books, when we moved to Conway in 1890, we brought 5 faculty members, 158 students, 500 books, and a small amount of scientific apparatus, maps, charts, and a globe. The globe is still in an attic somewhere, and those 5 faculty members are probably still on the payroll as well. Since this is also Alumni Weekend at Hendrix, we have just come from honoring Hendrix alumni from the class of 1966 at lunch today as the newest members of our half-century club, and I am happy to see so many bemedaled folks here with us this afternoon. Some of these people have not been back to campus since they graduated in 1966, and they were quite apologetic about that in their comments. And as you can imagine, they cannot get over not only how much Hendrix has changed, but how much Conway has changed in that time as well. It is nearly impossible to imagine Conway 125 years ago, before it was the city of colleges or the city of roundabouts. Back then, Hendrix was being courted by 7 Arkansas communities. Bringing Hendrix to Conway was a priority for the civic leaders of the time. According to the late Hendrix alumnus and history professor Bob Merriweather, Captain W.W. Martin worked to raise $72,000, including $11,000 he donated himself, and Reverend E.A. Tabor worked to rid the city of its 5 saloons. Though I might ask the mayor to bring a couple of those saloons back for us. The same leaders who led the effort to get Hendrix in Conway developed what became the Conway Area Chamber of Commerce. They helped establish Conway as the city of colleges, and higher education has remained Conway's competitive advantage and economic engine ever since. Whether you bleed Hendrix orange or purple or blue, it doesn't really matter. We all owe those early visionaries an enormous debt of gratitude for the quality of life we enjoy here today. From Arkansas Shakespeare Theater to Toadsuck Days to the village at Hendrix, Conway is one of the most thriving college towns, not just in Arkansas, but in the country. And Hendrix is honored to be such an important part of its history. Whether you learn to swim in the Hendrix pool or you've had a prom photo taken on our campus, Hendrix has been a fixture of Conway life for 125 years. You don't have to look hard in this town to see Hendrix alumni who have stayed in Conway to start careers and raise families. From family business owners to the Conway Fire Department, from data centers at Axiom to Conway Corporation to doctors' offices across the city, and as attorneys, business leaders, clergy, community volunteers, educators, and even across town, a university president, Hendrix alumni have contributed to Conway's success for 125 years. If those early civic leaders who fought to get Hendrix were here today, I hope they would breathe a sigh of relief or feel a sense of satisfaction at the return on their investment. Our total salaries and wages are about $21.5 million a year. Local spending by faculty and staff, $10.8 million, and an additional $4.5 by students and families. And nearly 40,000 visitors a year come to Conway for Hendrix athletic events, Arkansas Governor's School, Hendrix Commencement, Hendrix Murphy programs in language and literature, prospective student campus visits, theater and dance department productions, and much, much more. Not a bad payoff on $72,000. Just as the city of Conway and the Conway Chamber compete with other cities in Arkansas and across the region for new business and job opportunities, so Hendrix competes with the country's leading colleges and universities for new students, faculty, and staff. And just as Conway has thrived, so have we. Hendrix is consistently recognized among America's leading institutions for academic quality, affordability, engaged learning opportunities and support, innovation, preparation for graduate and professional school, satisfaction of success and graduates, and value. This spring, chemistry professor Tom Goodwin received a National American Chemical Society Award for research at an undergraduate institution, and psychology professor Jennifer Pesca was named the 2015 Arkansas Professor of the Year by the Carnegie Foundation. Our students have also excelled in competitive national and international honors. This year we have 3 Fulbright Award winners on campus, a Goldwater Scholar, a Marshall Scholar, and a Watson Fellow. This year as well, U.S. News listed Hendrix among the country's top 10 most innovative liberal arts colleges and one of the top 30 liberal arts colleges nationally for a strong commitment to undergraduate teaching. Hendrix is, I'm proud to say, the only one of America's top 100 nationally ranked liberal arts colleges in Arkansas featured in U.S. News. Many of our competitors and peers are in significantly larger urban areas. Many, indeed most of them, have significantly larger endowments and more in the way of resources. But here's what they don't have: 125 years of support from a community whose past, present, and future are as closely connected to higher education as Hendrix and our neighbors in the city of Conway. So thank you, Conway, and here's to 125 more years. Before we hear from the dignitaries on the stage, let me just recognize a small number of folks in the audience. And in particular, I would like to recognize the members of the Hendrix Board of Trustees who are here today. David Knight, our chair, is right in the center of the front row. And would the other members of the board please put their hands up? I see at least a couple here with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Now, to kick off the cavalcade of luminaries that will address us today, I am pleased to announce the Mayor of Conway, Arkansas, Tab Townsell.
Luminaries, thank you. Chairman Knight, President Susui, Bishop Mueller, and everybody here. As mayor of the city of Conway, this is an event I have to be at. I ask you simply this: who would Conway be if not for the decision of Hendrix College to locate in Conway, Arkansas in 1890? As the city of colleges, who would we be if we never got that very first college? Would we have that college town feel and flow that made it possible 2 years later in 1892 to attract Central Baptist College for Women, or in 1907 to be awarded Arkansas State Normal School by the state legislature? Would that have ever been even possible without the decision to locate Hendrix College in Conway, Arkansas? Would we have had the nerve, the political will to tinker with our city-owned utility arrangements in the shadow of the Great Depression when everybody was feeling the pinch, to create Conway Corporation, to capitalize that revenue stream so that we could grant to Hendrix College the money they needed to stay open and alive in Conway, Arkansas? And look what Conway Corporation has done for the city. Would we have even tempted ourselves to do that if not for the benefit of Hendrix College? As we look around on this beautiful spring day and look at this beautiful campus, if we are known as a city of beauty, has it always and ever been Hendrix College in front of us that showed us that beauty by the beauty of its campus? And Mr. Lacey, this college never went through a mid-century architect phase. All buildings have always been pretty. Not like City Hall, for example. Would we be the progressive city that we are if not for the influence of the Hendrix faculty and staff and administration and students, and as President Susui said, all those alumni that spread out and settled these tree-shaded streets of this growing city, that contributed and populated the body politic that made us, through the body of political thought, the progressive city that we are. My contention 15 years ago when I spoke to you before, and my contention today is still the same: we would not know who we were if it wasn't for Hendrix College. We owe that debt of gratitude to that decision because it's allowed us to define ourselves in a fashion that we sell every single day. If not for Hendrix College, we wouldn't be who we are. So that's our debt of gratitude. As Hendrix progresses and moves on and gains the national reputation you just heard, we shine in its reflected glow, and we take full advantage of it, let me tell you. So we say thank you. I'm going to ask to come up next the mayor of the city that was the former home of Hendrix College. And we owe somewhat a debt of gratitude to her. I hope I survive this without it costing me too much money. But the fact of the matter is, if you really want to know how much of an influence a college town can be, even though Conway left Altus, Hendrix left Altus 125 years ago, look at the quality of place and the wonderful community they have in Altus, and wonder how it happened versus anywhere just a few miles down the road in any direction. It's a wonderful place, and my contention is, once a college town, always a college town. So, with all due apologies to my colleague that's actually served as long in Altus as I have in Conway, but noting, President Susui, noting that while we got the college, they kept the alcohol. Except during the Depression, when we couldn't afford it anyway. But nonetheless, we welcome Mayor Veronica Post from the city of Altus, former and original founding home of Hendrix College, to Conway, Arkansas, and to Hendrix in celebration of this day. Mayor Post.
I'm not as tall as these fellows are, so I'll put this here. Thank you so much, Mayor Townsell and President Susui. And who knew that I would come into town and stop and ask directions to the building I needed to be, but walk into President Susui's doorway and meet him coming out. And there I was. He didn't know who I was, so that was okay. It's all right. He met me shortly hereafter. And in light of the nice things that they said prior to me taking the podium, Mayor Townsell, you was not the mayor back then, I know, and I was not the mayor of Altus back then, obviously, but I promise you, had I been mayor, y'all would have had to pay a lot more to get it out of Altus. Yeah, and there'd have been other consequences besides, but anyhow, okay. But, with the remarks of the commerce and, the $21.5 million payroll here at Hendrix, the $10.8 million of faculty and staff input into the community, the $4.5 million input from the students and their family members into the community, I think my citation today has gone up a little bit, Tab. So just to prepare you for that. Yeah, there you go. And I have to say thank you all again. Thank you for the wonderful performance that you gave us as we came in. That was so enjoyable. And I'm going to personally invite this group of performers, and I'll give all of you my cell phone number before I leave, because I want y'all to come to Altus and perform, because we have some future plans for Hendrix Day in Altus, Arkansas, just so you all know that. So, and all of your distinguished guests are welcome as well. And I'd like to thank, I have brought 2 council members with me. They're on my city council, but very importantly, one of them is the president of our historical society, and the other one is the secretary, and where we have memorabilia about Hendrix College there at our museum. Mary and Kathy, why don't y'all raise your hand right there? And seated next to them is my husband, my #1 supporter and my driver today, and he's seated next to 2 of your board members. So thank you all very much for coming. Thank you. Well, I like Conway. I'm actually a graduate of a college here. I did the Economic Development Institute, Community Development Institute at UCA. Conway. And, but I love this town. I can tell you where favorite places to shop, my best places to eat. Every time I come from Little Rock to meetings back to Altus, I have to pass through Conway. My husband hates it. I love it. So I love this town. Can y'all tell? Yes, I'm wearing the school colors proudly. But just to get on with what I would like to say is I'm a Rotarian. My husband and I both belong to the Altus Sunset Rotary. And you know the Rotarians, for those of you Tab has been one. He knows what I'm talking about. But we have a four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And I really considered all of that in my talk for today. Is it the truth? Yes. Is it fair to all concerned? Debatable. Will it build goodwill and friendships? Questionable. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Uncertain about that. But just so you know, Tab, now you're on the road to where I'm going with this. Okay. Yes, Altus was the original home of Hendrix College. It will forever, as has been mentioned before, have a connection to this Hendrix College. And we hold that near and dear to our heart. To prove that to you all, our very first mural that was contracted and painted by our Chamber of Commerce has Hendrix College, the original building in Altus, painted on it with the arch and the bell hanging there. So we invite you all to come up and have your picture made with our mural of Hendrix College in Altus, Arkansas. We also have the historical marker up there at the original site. We renamed the street that runs north and south. It used to be called Ozark Street, which is the neighboring town. And we felt like Hendrix Street was much more appropriate. So it has been renamed Hendrix Street for a number of years. I'd have to look that up. And then the street that runs east and west at that intersection is appropriately called College. So at Hendrix and College Street, you will find the historical marker for Hendrix College. Okay. Thank you very much. And now for the fun part, and I like the fact that you call us luminaries. That's wonderful. It just makes light fill into the room, and I love light. But I do have to think about this. The bell is here. So you also took that from us, but that's okay. Yeah. Just to remind you of that. But now you mentioned this globe. And you say it's stored somewhere in an attic? We have a museum in Altus. It would look wonderful in there. So anyone out there who knows where that globe is, I have room in my car when I'm leaving. Okay. Okay. I have with me a citation. Now, there are two kinds of citations. There are those kinds of citations that the legislature can pass in commemoration of some wonderful person or event. And then there's the municipal citation. Tab, are you familiar with the municipal citation? Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yes, those are the kind that carry fines or consequences to them. So, without further ado, I'd like to read my citation that I brought with me today. This citation is issued to Mayor Tab Townsell, Conway, Arkansas. Yes, I know you were not here years ago, but you are the presiding person in town, correct? Correct? Sins of the fathers, yes. That's okay, yes, okay. Sins of the fathers. Violation number 1, for theft of Hendrix College from Altus in 1890. No. Sins of the father, person in charge, you know how that goes. Violation number 2, for the decline in our student population when Hendrix College moved from Altus to Conway. Violation number 3, the decrease of the census population of Altus due to the decline of the student population. Violation number 4, decline of city revenues due to the decreased population in Altus. You see where I'm going with this tab? You see where, yes, it's adding up. Violation number 5, reduction of potential future growth, as evidenced by Conway's obvious benefit from Hendrix College. You see, and now you're called the city of colleges? You couldn't stop at just one? Violation number 6, for hogging, yes, that's a nice Arkansas term, isn't it? Other colleges when one was not enough. Sentence, therefore, In view of the above violations of moral and ethical natures, I hereby fine you $10 for every year since Hendrix relocated to Conway. That's $1,250 in case you haven't added that up yet. It's okay. Now, payment of which you could make immediately now. Yes, I'll take a check. He told me earlier he had a debit card. I'm fine with that. I really am fine with that. Okay. Or, in lieu of payment of said fine, you could do community service by attending a future celebration for commemoration of Hendrix College's origination in Altus at our annual springtime gala, held the first Saturday of each May, and that's not enough, Tab. In return for another grape stomp competition, which you already know how to do, right? He already knows how to do that, at one of our Altus grape festivals held annually the last weekend of July. Now, the choice is yours, Mayor Townsell. I would take a check today, that's fine, or you can come up and do community service at either of our festivals, and we can work out the details later. Issued this 15th day of April 2016, signed Veronica J. Post, Mayor of Altus, Arkansas. Well, I have to finish on a happy note, but because we are such a loving and forgiving community. And I have to say that even though you mentioned all those 40,000 visitors who come because of Hendrix, Altus is known as the wine capital of Arkansas, and we have 1.5 million visitors annually. Yes, we kept the alcohol. But I do have a proclamation I would like to issue. And this proclamation reads, whereas Hendrix College was founded in 1876 by Reverend Isham L. Burrow in Altus, Arkansas, called the Central Institute, and whereas it was renamed Hendrix College in 1889 in honor of Reverend Eugene Russell Hendrix, the Methodist Conference presiding bishop. And whereas in 1890, after bids from 7 towns, the Hendrix Board of Trustees chose Conway as the new location for the college. And whereas Hendrix College will forever be connected with the city of Altus, where a memorial plaque stands at the original college site. Now therefore be it proclaimed that this April 15th and each April 15th hereafter shall be known as Hendrix College Day in the city of Altus, Arkansas, with my hand and seal this 15th day of April. And I will present that to Mayor Townsell, and he might want to share that with the college. It'll be his choice. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. I'm Brad Lacey. I'm President and CEO of the Conway Area Chamber of Commerce. 125 years ago, 2 great institutions began a journey together that would essentially transform a sleepy cotton town into a center of education and commerce. Obviously, one of those institutions is Hendrix College. The other is the Conway Chamber, as President Satsui reminded us. We exist because you exist. Captain Martin, in his effort to recruit Hendrix here, decided that he needed to formalize a group of business leaders in order to raise that money that brought the college here. And he did that in 1891 and formed the Conway Board of Trade. And if you know anything about chambers of commerce nationally, most of them started out as boards of trade. So we also celebrate 125 years this year. And it has been very interesting to go back and read the history of the chamber. and see that connection between higher ed and the chamber. It's a little bit unique. We don't see a lot of other chambers whose earliest mission was to recruit education into the city, but that's what we existed for many years. And I think back to that really hard time that the mayor mentioned in 1929 when we were faced with losing this institution. It would have been so easy for the people who were here to have just given up. You know, they didn't even have a functioning bank in the city. But if you read some of the newspaper articles from the day, there was this intense desire to keep the schools here. And as we dug a little bit deeper, it was interesting to see that our chairman at the time, Joe Fronthal, made the commitment to the Methodist Church of $150,000. And then they had to figure out how to raise $150,000. So I really respect that. You know, I respect that you're going to make a commitment to keep this institution here, and then you're going to work really hard to figure out a way to raise that money. And what they did was probably as innovative as anything anyone has ever done in this city. And you'll probably hear a little more about that later from Richie. You know, we get to travel nationally and interact with our peers in the chamber world. And every year at our National Chamber Conference, there is always a session on town versus gown. That is such a common theme in chambers, that there is this rift between the higher education institutions in the city, and that is the most foreign concept to me in this community. You know, it is impossible to separate the city of Conway from the colleges and university that is here. That's why I'm here. That's why many of us make it to this town, and maybe that's what's different about it. You know, we make this journey here to get a degree, and then we fall in love with the place and we never leave. So maybe that's why that rift isn't there. So what does it mean to us today to have Hendrix College here? I can tell you we get the honor of introducing people to this community for the first time, whether it be a business like HP in 2008 or you know, individual facility managers of some of our large companies. And every time we do a tour of the community, this campus is on that tour. And I can tell you that they are blown away by the physical beauty of the campus. More recently, they're blown away by the village. And the question is always, who did this? And I said, well, the college did this. And they ask again, who did this? Well, the college did this. Well, I mean, it is a nationally competitive neighborhood. You know, I mean, you taught us about good design. And not only did you teach the city of Conway, I think you taught the whole region about good design, because there are very few places that exist that I see that are done as well as that is across the street. We just want more of it. So, you know, what does it mean to us today? We're one of the geekiest cities in the United States, according to one publication, and I love it. We want more geeks, as many geeks as we can get in Conway, we want them. We wouldn't be that way if it weren't for you and the other two schools. One of the best college cities in America, college towns in America, certainly wouldn't be that without you. But I think that you've taught us some other things too. I already mentioned that you taught us about good design. You also taught us about lacrosse, because we didn't know much about that until you got here. But you know, I think the beauty of living in a college town is that there is always a little bit of debate that goes on. And I think that that is healthy, and I think it makes us a very different place than most other places in the South, really smaller cities in America. But I think one of the best lessons that you ever taught us was about equality. And we are a better place because we have a thought process like that. And that is a direct impact on the economic success of a city today. And so I thank you for 125 years in this community, and we are proud to be your partner and look forward to 125 more.
Hi, I'm Richie Arnold. I'm the CEO at Conway Corporation, and bring you greetings, Chairman Knight, President Tsui, all the faculty, staff, students, alumni from the Conway Corporation Board of Directors and employees, many of whom are here today. You know, 39 years after Hendrix relocated from Altus to Conway, the Great Depression almost took them away again. And Conway Corporation was founded for one purpose. And our articles of incorporation don't even mention utility business. You know, we do run utilities, but they were so focused on that immediate problem that all they talked about was supporting education. And we do that even today. And there's many of the facilities here on campus that we participated in. So I look at Conway Corporation, our genesis was Hendrix crisis. Actually, you know, we benefit not only from, as a community, and I think Hendrix is a gift in this community, we benefit, 3 of my executive staff are graduates of Hendrix College. And I don't see one of them here today. I'll talk to them about that. Actually, Bill Bethay, my assistant, is on vacation, much deserved vacation. And Jason Hansen he's our Chief Technology Officer, runs our technology, our broadband internet and all of that great stuff, which I know just about that much about, but I've got Jason. And Chris Odom, who manages our voice services. So we're very blessed to have them on our executive team. But I just want to congratulate you today and thank you for all you do for this community. Conway is a much better place because of its institutions of higher education. And Hendrix College is really a blessing to us, and not just as a community, but Conway Corporation as a company, because of the people that you educate and that, you know, go forth and do good things, not only here in Conway, but throughout the country. And so on this very special day, I congratulate you and wish you the very best. President Tsutsui, congratulations.
Well, I would like to thank everyone up on the stage for their comments today. Bishop, Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, and 2 very important local CEOs, thank you for being with us today as we celebrate. Thank all of you in particular for being here. I am thrilled to say we had a standing room only crowd at this event today. Now, if you look at your program, you know that our plan was to parade at this point. The weather intervened in those plans, but it makes it even more convenient for the rest of our program today. In a moment, I'll ask theater professor Ann Muse, who's a graduate of Hendrix in the class of 1983, and the cast of Cornerstone, a brief sketch in honor of the college's move to Conway, to come up here on stage. Following the performance, Hendrix students will offer tours of historic campus sites, and I hear they will be armed with umbrellas as necessary, and you can meet them outside afterwards. And then we will conclude later this afternoon with a reception in the rotunda of Bailey Library. Thank you so much, everyone. And now we will process off, and we will let Professor Muse and her students come forward. Thanks for being here.